I chose to speak about my panic disorder because I think that's the thing that's affected me most on a day-to-day basis. And I weirdly, I guess, get quite nervous speaking about it because it's one of those things that unless you've experienced one, it's really hard to understand or relate to. So yeah, that's what I'll be speaking about today. I have experienced a panic disorder for about 5 or 6 years now, and it got to the point where I had one of my worst panic attacks the other day at work, and I would have rather said to them like my endometriosis was flaring up, which is like a pretty personal thing, than to say, oh, I've actually had a panic attack and I don't want to be here anymore. And I thought that was quite, I guess, weird that it's not a comfortable thing to talk about, like your mental health and what you're going through, especially at work.
Yeah, you feel like you'll be judged and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like not the time or place.
Or like not fit to work. Like if you're having panic attacks at work, well then how can you, because I work in health, how can you look after someone else if you can't look after yourself? Yeah.
So when did you start experiencing these panic attacks?
I was about 19 at Origin and I took a cap, and the cap had what we think now was ketamine in it. So instead of getting the happy high feeling that I was wanting, I felt like I was dying and my whole body was going numb. I was on my own, I'd lost everybody, and it was the scariest thing I think I've ever been through. And then from there, I guess it just got worse because the more panic attacks I had, I didn't know what it was. I just kept thinking I was dying, and then I'd have a panic attack, thinking about a panic attack, and it was just this horrible cycle. Yeah.
So that's pretty much where it started, and it triggered more panic attacks after that.
Yeah. After speaking to my psychologist, my psych at the time I'm not seeing anymore, but we worked out that a few things kind of trigger my panic attacks, and although that's where it started, I kind of had all these fears of having a brain clot or blood clot in my brain or a stroke or something health related, and that's where my health anxiety comes in. But all of those little things would also trigger a panic attack, and I think the more that I got anxious about it, the worse it got and the more triggers I'd get. Yeah.
Yeah, so how do you feel like that affected you overall? Like obviously, yeah, it would give me anxiety and maybe some depression or something, but yeah, what were the symptoms that you were feeling of bad mental health?
I think my mental health has always been really shit, which kind of makes it a bit worse. But definitely the more anxious I got, the more stressed I was at the time. That made my panic attacks get worse. And then when you're having a panic attack a day or a couple a day, it's fucking exhausting. Like, if I have a panic attack that night, I'm like in bed, in tears, and oh God. And I feel like really guilty for my friends and my family, because I know my partner doesn't exactly know how to support me, especially when I am having a panic attack. It feels like nothing around me is real, and like I have no control over my body.
What do you think the lowest point was?
I think my lowest point was probably when I was working multiple jobs. I didn't have the support system that I do now, so I was burnt out, and then I didn't have anybody to go to. At the end of the day, I was having panic attacks at least about 3 times a day. I wasn't aware that they were panic attacks at the time. So I didn't want to go out. I had plans to go on holidays that I didn't want to go on, because if I felt like this when I was on holidays, that would just ruin everything. And I think that there has definitely been times where my panic attacks have gotten so frequent and so bad that it's just kind of like, what am I doing? I can't fix this. I don't know what's happening. I don't want to leave the house. I started self-harming as a way to kind of like bring myself back into my body. But yeah, I'd say that would be my lowest point.
I see.
Yeah.
What was your journey with seeking help?
So I obviously knew that something was wrong because I felt like I was dying. And I knew that there was nothing physically wrong with me. Like I was getting heart palpitations and chest pain and headaches and dizziness, but I did all my blood tests and everything came back fine. So I ended up seeing a psychologist and we went through everything I was experiencing, and she pretty much just listed off a bunch of things that she thought may have been the case. One of them was a panic disorder. And I think in terms of like the benefits of seeking help, it kind of solidified that what I was experiencing was a thing. It had a name. Other people were experiencing this, and I guess when I then had a panic attack, I would be able to label it as that and kind of move past it and know that I wasn't actually dying or nothing was actually going to happen. I stopped seeing her for a little bit and I think things went downhill again, and then I recently started seeing a psych and it's been amazing. I think everyone should have a therapist, 100%, and I think more people should be open talking about it. I just had a conversation with my mum and she was like, I wouldn't tell people you have a therapist. And I was like, no, I think you should, because everyone needs one. But yeah, seeking help for that in particular was amazing because I was able to label it what it is, pretty much.
Yeah. What would you say to someone that is in the midst of going through panic attacks? They don't know what's going on, and just to share something to someone that's going through what you're going through.
I think that it sucks and it's scary and it's emotionally draining, but you're not the only person going through this. If you speak to someone, like different things help different people, and I think the more you speak about it, the more people can share their strategies and ways to help them. Also, the more you speak about it as well, the more you realise that even little things that you didn't know what they were, like I now know I experienced derealisation, which is where everything around you doesn't seem real, and I find that terrifying because I'm like, I don't even know if I'm awake right now, and I didn't know that that was a thing until I spoke to somebody. So I just think if anyone else is having panic attacks, extreme anxiety, doesn't feel like anything's real, stay calm, you're not going to die, and to get help.